Hello, how's everybody doing out there? Cousin Johnny here, bringing you a great show. I'm so excited about our guest today that I can't wait to put her on. And let me introduce her before further ado. She's a local girl. Pretty much, this theme is local girl finds success. She's a local girl. She's an author. She's a producer. She's a journalist. She's written screenplays, and she just wrote the book, a great book, by the way, Murder in Pebble Beach. Please welcome Fiona Mackenzie. Fiona, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to meet you. Great to see you. Of
Thank you so much for wanting to come on to Buzzing with Cousin.
course.
So,
Of
Fiona,
course.
you are local and you grew up in Pebble Beach, Carmel.
Both kind of. We moved back and forth. My dad opened a hotel in Carmel when I was in middle school, the Sandpiper Inn.
Wow.
So my parents were also married in Carmel. So they'd always wanted to live there and move back there after they started having kids and stuff. So yeah, Carmel's my home. Pebble Beach too. Big Sur has a piece of my heart. Carmel Valley as well. It's
Oh,
my hood.
that,
Like yours. I love it.
that's really great. And now, Fiona, you were a journalist. How did that happen? Did you go to journalism school right out of high school, or how did that happen?
No, I went to graduate school. I went to Berkeley and then I went to graduate school at Georgetown. And I thought I was going to go work for the government, State Department. I don't know what I thought I was going to do. I was just getting a
Yeah,
graduate degree. And while I was there, I was writing articles for newspapers. And even in college, I had been. And one of my professors at Georgetown said, because he'd been a bureau chief of the New York Times, like serious news guy. He's like, why don't you think about journalism? You're a good writer. You love international stories. And I said,
yeah,
but
perfect.
that's a great idea. I hadn't thought of it. And I, sent off some writing samples to various, at the time, magazine. Eventually I did end up working in television, but I sent my some writing samples off to British Vogue in London at Condé Nast, and they hired me. So I was like, let's go to London. So I started in London, and then eventually moved to Paris, and then started transitioning from print to television journalism. And then eventually, I'll tell you more about that if you want to know how I got a job in entertainment, which was still storytelling and writing. And it's all the same.
Yeah, all storytelling and
Yeah.
writing. That's great. And so, when did you realize that you had an interest in storytelling and writing?
Well, I was a complete book nerd growing up, I tell you, like when I was a little kid, and we moved around a lot. So when I was, you'd always find me in the library reading. I read a lot of mythology. I read a lot of historical novels. I read all the classics, Dickens, whatever. And I just think I really, really enjoyed getting lost in a story. And, when you read a book, you're making up your own movie in your head, right?
Yeah,
So the book that I've written, Murder in Pebble Beach, you
you're
might the cast one way. It's your movie because you're reading it. So I guess storytelling, it's sort of it's interactive between the reader and the writer, or the audience per se. So I think I had a very young love of stories and books, and I even read comic books. I mean, I read everything. I really did. And then I worked in Paris for almost 7 years as a television journalist. Eventually, I didn't really do news. I didn't love news as much as sort of features. And then I
yeah.
eventually started working for Entertainment Tonight. And through them, I started interviewing and getting involved in entertainment. I worked for another British show where I interviewed a lot of movie stars and writers and directors. So I was sort of one foot in it, but not in it. And then as I was about to leave and come back to the States, I got a job offer out of the blue to work on a US television show in English, shooting in Paris. And I was hired to be the assistant to the overall producer of the whole thing. And it was called The Highlander, based on the movie The Highlander. They did a
Yeah.
series.
Uh-huh.
And I really, I got the bug. I was like, this is cool. Actors, stories, special effects, moving the camera, the edit. I just really got the bug. So that was the sort of turning point for me.
Did did growing up in Monterey shape your creative lens, and just the area of Monterey?
I think so. Yeah, I think, it wasn't unusual to pop into an art gallery and the artists would be there. And I had friends that were deeply into photography. There were quite a few authors that lived, locally. So I think you just sort of grow up with it as being embedded in the community. And of course, there's tons of great music, live music, jazz music. So I
Yeah,
think it's a very creative place to live, even though it's not a big capital city. It's not like New York or or San Francisco, it still has enough going on. And
Oh,
locally, we have a great symphony. We have a lot of artists coming through. So yeah, I think I grew up with a strong appreciation for the arts in general from
for
our town.
the
Yeah,
longest running jazz festival of all time,
right, right.
Monterey Pop Festival. I mean, it
It's a
goes on,
classic. Yeah.
goes on and on. And now, since I have you on, I want to say that they have the opening of the Pebble Beach Food and Wine is coming up. I think it's this weekend.
I've heard about that. That's actually there's a chapter in the book devoted to that.
Yeah, I remember that. That's really great.
I'm gonna have them walk around Pebble Beach Food and Wine. And also growing up, writers like Jack Kerouac and people like that, pretty famous, Henry Miller, they were all in and out of Big Sur. So I think it does put an imprint on you as a kid, thinking, yeah, there's stories to be told. And in my case, whenever I told people that I was from Carmel or that general area and Big Sur, their eyes would pop and they'd just have so many questions about what was it like growing up there? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And I told them how small our town is and the high school is this big. But then I started thinking about it. I thought, this is a really great place to set a story because of the eclectic nature of the community, people coming down from San Francisco. You've got, Silicon Valley, you've got the Carmel Valley, which is really rustic, Big Sur, which is really remote. And I just percolated on it for a while. And I started writing the book during COVID, then stopped, and then picked it up and finished it I just finished it in December and it came out in January or February. So it's been a process. It's been a process.
Yeah, Monterey is a destination now. I mean, we've got that new convention center. I mean, you go downtown and on a Wednesday or Thursday, and you've got groups of people with those lanyards walking around. So
Oh,
there's
really? Okay.
stuff going on in Monterey, which is really good for the businesses and the economy here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so, what was your first project, your film project?
Well, like I said, I worked on The Highlander, which was a
Oh, yeah,
series.
the
It was
Highlander.
13
Yeah.
episodes, and that was pretty interesting because it wasn't just one movie. It was 13, honestly, like 1 hour movies. So you got to see a lot, and we did that in 8 months. So I think that was my first creative project, and then I ended up, in terms of television, then I ended up going to work at Sony Pictures, and I became a development executive. That's a person that reads scripts, develops scripts, tries to attach writers, directors, whatever. And I worked for Larry Terman, and he's passed away since, but he was the producer of The Graduate. So I met some great people through working for him and at Sony, and also learned how to develop scripts of my own and package and all that kind of stuff. So, it's like I said, it all starts with writing and a love of stories, and it's been an ongoing and sort of layered up, laddered journey. I certainly didn't do it the most normal way, but it's been interesting. That's
This
for sure.
happened, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, your book, how did that happen? Your book. I mean, how did you?
Well, a couple things happened. My dad, who's also passed away, and I used to play golf a lot. That was something we did together. I'd come back. I was living in New York, and coming back and playing golf with my dad was just so peaceful. And he belonged to a club, and it was right on the ocean. And we'd have these like father-daughter walks, for hours and hours, which I hadn't had with him in years since I was like a little kid. And he started telling me stories about this and that, and I don't want to be too specific, but he did tell me a story about somebody who he got struck by lightning on the golf course. And I thought, that's crazy. And he said, but at least he died doing what he loved. And I thought,
All right, yeah,
that's
perfect.
so ironic. So then I just started really thinking about characters and how I would set them up. And I created a family. Actually, it's two families. And they have tentacles with families over in Europe too. So it's not my family at all. But obviously you take from, what you know and you extrapolate. And because I was a journalist for so long, and I did interview along the way some very bad people, murderers and whatnot, some of those people have trickled into my screenplays as characters, or at least as the emotion for a character. And I feel like journalism was a really great sounding board and also kind of film school for me, because I was shooting, I was editing, I was running around dealing with available light, weather, this and that. But I also interviewed so many people, so many thousands of different types of people, that they're there in the memory bank if I need like that perfect villain or that sea captain or that woman. They're just there because I met them. So when I did Murder in Pebble Beach, which is my first book, by the way, but I'm excited, and the number 2 is on the way. I thought, well, let's just write what you know, set it in a location that you really know intimately and that people are already curious about. People are already very curious about our hometown in the Monterey Peninsula. So it sort of flowed pretty naturally. I don't know if you know this, but I wrote the pilot first, and then I realized the pilot had so much more, because when you write a pilot, it really has to be 60 pages or less, 60
Yeah.
minutes or less. And people read it and said this would make a great book. So in my case, the pilot came first, and now we're actually talking to studios about the TV series. We'll see how it goes. It's a long road, but so the book came after. And I think I'm going to do it again with another project of mine, because the story is already there and it'll make the book writing a bit faster. The other book is completely different. It's set in Ireland. But so the inspiration was probably always there, just below the surface. And it's really about just settling down and focusing and saying, I can do this. I need to come up with, in my case, I think it's 41 chapters and 280,000 words. It's a lot. You know, you have to commit. You have to commit.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's okay to take breaks. I've taken breaks up to a month or two, but if you get too far out of the saddle, then it seems overwhelming. So if anybody's out there thinking about writing a book, I would say just chip away at it every day, whatever works for you.
Yeah, that's it.
Chip away for 45 minutes if that's all you got. You know, just do something so you feel like your page count is moving. And then because you're going to rewrite it a million times anyway. But just don't let it languish for too long, because then it'll start to feel overwhelming, or it'll feel like an obligation. And you want it to feel fun. You want it to be inspired. You want to bring your story to the world. So you should be hopefully motivated.
I want to tell you about my experience with your book, and that is,
Okay.
first of all, there's a lot of twists and turns. In my mind, I was thinking one way, then the other, then I was thinking another way, then I was thinking another way, and all. But it was really great. But what I really liked about it was, living in Monterey. I mean, you had us going down Ocean Avenue. You
Yeah.
had us going down Cannery Row. You had us in Pebble Beach at the Food and Wine. I pictured myself with a Chardonnay, and also going over Bigsby Bridge.
Yep.
Big Sur. So I mean, to me, that made a difference in the book. It made me feel like I was right in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was in it.
Yeah. I'm glad you felt like that. And
That's how I felt. Yeah.
well, to be honest, like whenever I would come back from living in New York or when I was living in Europe, you know, these are city, urban. Whenever I'd come back to Carmel, the very first thing I would do, even before I would drive home to see my family, I would just drive and park on Scenic and get out for a few minutes and just feel the ocean, hear the waves, look at the surfers and the dogs running. And I was like, God, it's good to be home. I would do that every single time and just appreciate it, because wasn't living there anymore, and I haven't lived there in a long time. Maybe I'll be lucky enough to live there again soon, but it's really a magical place. It just is. And thank God it's still as beautiful as it was when I was a kid. You know, I have to say I really appreciate that they haven't let any sprawling developments happen. It still looks pristine and perfect, and it's wonderful. I love going home.
It's really great. I mean, it just seems like the older I get, the more, I mean, when you're young, it's like, you don't really care that much. But now,
Right.
the older you get, it's like you really like. I really like. I read up on the history and everything about our,
Yeah.
beautiful peninsula here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
The
it's
adobes, everything.
right. Yeah. We have like the first theater on the West Coast, I believe, that
First,
the theater in
first
Monterey. I mean, and there's theater out in Carmel Valley. There's just a lot of creative people there and a lot of support for the arts. So for me, it was a great place to write the book because it's home. It
Yeah.
felt really good. I told you I have my favorite coffee mug that I actually write with almost every day. If you can see, it's probably backwards on the screen. It says, "And she lived happily ever after in Carmel by the sea."
Oh my God, that's
Start the day. Yeah.
great. So Fiona, I know you're busy, but can you just give us a sneak preview of Murder in Pebble Beach? Give us, just without giving the story away, just give us a little
Oh, just a
tidbit.
little snippet, like a little snippet. Okay, I'll try to make it quick and easy to understand. Basically, it's the story of a man, a family, Conrad Worthington, and he has a devastating car accident in the first 10 pages. And we think he's going to die, jaws of life extract him and that kind of thing. And it turns out he's in sort of an induced coma. He's in ICU. And what's called the key man clause kicks in for his company, and his oldest daughter is asked to come back and sort of step in and run his company while he's recuperating. But at the same time as she does that, she's trying to mend the fractured family that she has. She's got siblings, she's got a new family because her dad's about to get married. So there's an extended family of kind of the same ages. They're all kind of between 15 and 34, 35, 6 siblings. And when she comes home to sort of help with the family business, she also starts to investigate because she's an attorney. She starts to really start to dig around. She's friends with the local detective. She went to high school with him, and together they kind of team up a little bit. He's got his way of looking at things, and she's got her way. But she's really, really suspicious that somebody from the inside within the company or the family, or she doesn't know, was after him and triggered this accident. And she's right. So little by little, that is what starts to unravel. And then suddenly her father goes missing from the hospital. And that's when things take a wild turn. And some new family members show up.
Oh, yeah, out of the blue, you know.
Little surprise here. That's actually based on a true story. A friend of mine, that happened to her. A friend of mine, I won't give it away, but so she just learned she had another sibling from before. So I was like, that is wild. So yeah, little pieces of real life are in there, but mostly just extrapolated from along the way. And book 2 is definitely in the works. If you made it to the end, you'll see where that's going.
I see where that's going, yeah.
And we are pitching the show, and we've had some good responses so far. Some actors have read it. I mean, I could absolutely see this. You know, if they would turn this into a series, I would have so much fun.
Oh, I could see it. I could
right?
picture it. Yeah, I mean, just
like
the
Little Lies, Play Misty for Me. You know, it could be really cool.
Standing out in well, it wasn't called the Lodge, but
yes, it wasn't called the Lodge. Yes,
it
and
wasn't called the Lodge, but it was
Dunecliff.
when I say Dunecliff.
Dunecliff,
Sitting
yeah.
out there sipping on a nice scotch, smoking a cigar. I could just picture the whole series.
Absolutely.
So that's really great. So I want all the listeners out there to get the book because it's really great. And
Please do. Here it is again. It's a lot of fun.
We're supporting a local lady here.
And it's just meant to be a fun read, you know. It's meant to be a fun vacation read, or thanks for putting that up there, or a gift or a holiday thing, you know, for people that like golf, for people that know Pebble Beach and Carmel. It's a page turner, I think. I think it's fair to say that. And I'm really glad you liked it, Johnny. I'm really pleased.
Oh, I loved it. I can't wait for the second book to come out because I'm kind of wondering what's going on now, you know.
Well, if people want to know more, I have an Instagram I can give you, and also we have a website too with more. We might start to drop chapters of the next book and that kind of thing. Should I just give you that and you can put it up? Right. So my Instagram is Fiona Mackenzie, my name, Fiona Mackenzie Media. And it's open. We'll be dropping up little updates on the book and or the TV series if that happens. And then the website is Fiona Mackenzie Author, www.Fiona Mackenzie Author. And we can definitely give away chapters and things like that. I'm going to be doing a little television interview for KXTL. I think they're from Sacramento. That's happening on the 24th of this month. And we're going to put together some giveaways and things like that as well. I don't exactly know what they want to do, but and there's another company from the East Coast that's interested in doing something a little bit experiential with the book, like walking. They want me to sort of describe scenes, walking and talking. So we'll see how that all goes. It's all new to me and fun, and
it's definitely fun. And congratulations on the book.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really, really good to talk with you too. It's really, I love what you're doing. I love that you're doing this for the local community and artists, musicians.
You know what I say, Fiona's. I'm biased, but I feel we got some of the best chefs, the best artists, the best musicians, the best authors right here. I mean, I'm biased, but right here in Monterey, including yourself.
Oh, thank you for including me. But I think you're right.
Thank you so much for coming on.
You.
And is there anything you want to add before we close out?
No, just I hope if you're a parent, you have kids, make sure they're reading, and if you're an adult and think you don't have time to read, make some time for yourself, because it's a pleasure that sometimes we put aside for many years as we're getting busy with life. But books are really integral to our growth as human beings, and they connect us. They connect us as people. So look out for book number 2, and I'll keep you guys posted on every count. Okay.
Okay,
There you go.
ladies and gentlemen, Fiona Mackenzie, Murder in Pebble Beach. Get it. So,
Thank you,
Fiona, thank you for coming on, and Cousin Johnny and Fiona will be out. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Johnny. Thank you.